Boundless Authenticity Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Boundless Authenticity. My guest, Marguerite Mary Rigoglioso, Ph.D., is the founder of Seven Sisters Mystery School, a world-renowned teacher of sacred knowledge and the foremost authority on the history of virgin birth. A trusted mentor to people on healing and spiritual paths, she draws on her decades-long research and experiences with Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene to help uncover their hidden, timeless teachings and apply them to our present-day needs. Marguerite is also the award-winning author of several books, including The Secret Life of Mother Mary, Divine Feminine Power for Personal Healing and Planetary Awakening, and The Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception, Mary and the Lineage of Virgin Births. She lives in Western Massachusetts. You can find her at sevensistersmysteryschool.com, and more links will be provided in the show notes. And while I'm here, I just want to say thank you again to all of the new subscribers and followers, and remind you that if you aren't currently a follower of the show, go ahead and do so now. Boundless Authenticity is available on Spreaker, Spotify, Apple, Rumble, and sometimes YouTube when they aren't censoring me for bringing you information the internet doesn't want you to know yet. However, I highly recommend using the Spreaker app as it's free to listen and there's no sign up required. All you have to do is just hit play. Subscribing to the podcast will not only let you know when the next episode is available, but it will also help the show to reach a wider audience, which means we can attract the kind of guests that you want to hear. You can now look forward to 3 episodes of Boundless Authenticity every month on the 6th, 16th, and 26th. So mark your calendars. Marguerite, what's going on?
Hey, first of all, that bio is so long and intimidating that we hope people didn't run away and that they're still staying here to hear Marguerite. Those are my comedy beings from Long Island. And in the fifth dimension, they don't often come in during these interviews, gotta say. I mean, they kind of keep it a little behind the scenes, but they just want everybody to know that they're there. Hi, keeping it light,
Right. Yeah. I asked for a short bio and that's what I got. So maybe
that was the
that's
shortest bio. Dang.
Yeah.
Okay, but whatever. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So, what's up is the question, because everybody's been looking up and we don't really know what it is that we're seeing up there. For example, as just a start to your question, that gets us into Mother Mary and Jesus and Mary Magdalene in a really big way. So if you want, we can make that segue of how is all this stuff going on in the sky related to a religion that half of us don't even want to have anything to do with anymore.
Okay, well, that's a great question. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, what's happening is, humanity is opening its eyes to the bigger picture of what's going on, right? Whether it's little half-baked government, engineered, reverse engineered things, whatever. Even if they're reverse engineered, they came from the aliens, you know what I'm saying? So it's like these things are still alien related, whatever we're seeing in the sky. Okay, so whatever they're telling us, all of that is alien related. So if we're going to agree to that, who are all these different aliens? And then who's for us, who's against us? And one thing I've come to realize is that this sacred family that I call the Sophia Christos mission is one that is for us, actually. And they have come in through the religions of many of us, even as distorted and twisted as that stuff got, they still were able to keep something of their message going through to some people in those churches. And so those people who were able to kind of connect with the mystical level of what was being talked about, now's our time. Because these beings are totally connected with all of the interdimensional realms. And they're like, hey, come on, we're We're trying to help you here. We're going to do some personal healing for you here. We're going to try to raise up your vibration here. You know, they're here. They're here like a, you know, a line of beings trying to help us get to it. All right. So that's like baseline core of our conversation right now. I mean, there's so many other details, but this is really channeling into the Sophia Christos realms. Okay.
Okay. So that took this interview in a completely different direction than where I was going to take it. And so I have to ask you, let me formulate this question the best that I can.
Yeah.
Are you in some way, maybe not all the way, but just a little bit, are you suggesting that in a time where people are looking for and wanting for disclosure, so to speak, whatever that really means,
right,
that the real disclosure is an internal type of thing? It is about your personal relationship with your internal world, your ability to reach out and connect with these beings. Tell me where I'm going wrong with that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, all of the above. Like, we're in a time where we are starting to learn how to be in communication with these beings, which means to be in communication with the higher aspects of ourself, right? The inner is the outer and the outer is the inner. So it's okay for people who are starting with like aliens out there, you know, and then they're going to eventually realize, oh my gosh, I still have to do my interpersonal work, you know, even though there's aliens out there. That's not going to prevent me from having to, you know, heal from my childhood trauma. Right. You know, so these are the two areas that we're coming into. We're coming into this star realm. Kind of, they're trying to bring us up. And then we've been in this pit of like emotional killing each other, you know, intergenerational traumatic. And they're like, wow, we're trying to sieve you out of that. We're trying to help you climb up and out. They're trying to help us climb up and out. And there are numerous star systems that are doing it. And the Sophia Christos mission is right in there. You know,
interesting. So
yeah.
What are some of the other ways that these beings are attempting to connect with us or contact us, do you think?
They're trying to contact us in every which way that is legal according to cosmic law, which it doesn't violate our free will or create other kinds of interplanetary trouble and then karma for them. Okay. So they're trying to like create influences. They're the influencers. All right. And they're trying to reach out telepathically to the most people who are awakening or come in awake or, you know, awakening now or in plant medicine or whatever. And they're like, hey, we're here. We're here. We're here. You guys are not alone. Okay. We know you've been going through hell for all this time with all this suffering in this realm. We are all of our universal eyes have been on it. Eden realm became a hell realm. We know that. You were in the hell realm. People are killing each other. Races are fighting. Genders are fighting. Everybody is fighting. Everybody is an addict of some kind or another. This is a hell realm. We just want to let you know. All right. You're in it. You've all been initiated in it. And these beings are there trying to go, hello, like a vague echo to help us all come out of it. Mm-hmm. And they try to call as loud as they can within law, within cosmic law, to help us now. And they've gotten a toehold. Like a lot of people are either coming in this way, your generation, you know, and younger are coming in this way, or the older folks are like, pop, pop, pop. They're starting to awaken. This is happening in mass numbers now. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not easy because it's taken a lot of work that those of us who are doing this have already done to be able to get through as much as we can. Those people who have not done their personal healing work at all are in double and triple hell right now. Mm-hmm. Have you noticed family members and people bouncing around like unbelievably. This is a major, major pressure that's on everyone. It's like sieve through, or I don't know what is your solution if you don't like sieve all that stuff out of you. And this is going on every level. You know, all the addictions, all the healings that need to happen, everything. Mm-hmm. We've got to be in rapid healing now. And so the Sophia Christos family is one resource, a pretty big one and a pretty good one to help us with that. Mm-hmm. And so as bizarre as the missionaries were and all infiltrated with negative demonic entities, somehow something good came through what they were doing, so that there are enough people on the planet that are like Sophia Christos, Mary, Jesus, you know, they can be worked with at the level of their true awakening and development, you know. And some people will be like, wow, I'm awakening in this lifetime. And some people are like halfway through and then they got to go in the next lifetime. Some people are about 4 lifetimes away from this kind of thing. And I don't know what they're going to do about that with the whole cosmic timing of what's going on. But, you know, so anyway, the Sophia Christos family, as expressed through Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Jesus, Mother Mary's mother, Anne, Anne's partner, Joachim, Mother Mary's partner, Joseph, John the Baptist. Okay, these people, even the other apostles, right? Initially, when they came to the planet, they were carrying a very high vibration through as the Essenes. And over the centuries, you know, forget it. Suddenly you're in the Roman Empire. All right. So this thing, and then the Catholic Church gets put in the center of Reptilian Central over there. So this thing has been, the negative forces try to steer the ship in every which way that they can. All right. So there's this mission to come in. They realize they're going to be tarred with a brush of colonialism and pedophilia and all this stuff, right? But they have to come in and they're like, I'm in. Okay, we got to get this message out on the higher vibration of what this represents, okay? Because you could get people that are Christian and be like, I'm killing you, you know? That wasn't exactly what they had in mind originally, okay? You know? So it's like they're trying to like get us all back up to this Edenic vibration. And they feel like somebody like you totally understands, you know, what's being said, because you're trying to do this in your own way, your own domain, personally, professionally. You're into this, like this is your road, you know, is to help with this awakening. So we're all part of this, and we can draw on whatever resources we want. And if you and I want to talk more about specifically the resource known as the Sophia Christos mission and what's in my book about Mary, we can do that.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. But I want to ask you a question that is relevant, because everywhere I go now, like I can't even go outside unless I hear somebody talking about it just passing in front of my house. What do you think about the current political situation and the role that it's playing in the growth of the planet? Because I'm seeing more arguing and division and whatnot.
I know. It's a nightmare. These forces know how to get from small scale to large scale in on this thing so that they can get their food. Mm-hmm. So they are loving to be having humans cracking their skulls against each other and going to war and fisticuffs over this, that, half of which it is imagined and never even comes into manifestation. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like, we've all got to keep doing our inner work so that when you look at this fisticuffs thing or whatever's going on with this person or that person, you can be like, wow, okay, let me look at this situation with neutrality. I thought that person was going to be like this. Now he's starting to do this, this, and this. I'm not so sure. And then the other party will be like, wow, we hated that guy, but look, he actually did something good over there. We're not sure. This does not compute. This does not compute. This is how you get rid of Democrats and Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
You get everybody realizing this does not compute. We are all one humanity.
Yeah. Yeah, I said that to somebody this morning.
Regardless of what we look like.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have major DNA, unity across the planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel you. Because I said that to someone literally this morning. And it's just, I think this thing about having to be right or wrong is really silly. And it's over. It's over. It's
I know.
Just over for that kind of thinking. It's more like, just ask people questions about why they believe what they believe. Don't interject your opinion.
Well, you're a teacher of the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very big teaching for the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the previous generation where it's like, oh, I'm not going to be quiet. No way. I'm going to tell you what I think. It's going to be in opposition to you. I can tell you that, but it's okay. So like we're learning. Like your generation has like a softening element that's come in with it. Okay. And so it's just a more Lemurian energy that you and others are being born with.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, but the thing is that even though everybody's being born with Lemurian energy, we still have to do the personal work of we incarnated into this body, into this lineage with our own karma coming in. We still have to do that work. We can't just get out of it. That is your initiation into the higher dimension, is that healing. And so we want to say this too. World Leader 1, World Leader 2. Your inner healing is as important as what you think is your mission to close that and open that and do this and do that. We are hoping you're going to be healing now. We're hoping that, as some people are saying, you did sort of start having a divine sense that you hadn't before. You had a little shaky, near-deathy kind of thingy. So we're rooting for you to be in your higher self. And that's what the Sophia Christos mission is. It's you root for the other person to be in their higher self, to really do their healing needed. And then be like, oh, come on, man, don't hire that guy because he's infiltrated with da-da-da. And it's like, oh, all sorts of mistakes are going to be made. The infiltration is still going to come in here and there, whether it's main characters, peripheral characters. There's going to be a lot of chaos, and that's the thing. Out there, it's going to continue to be an increasing circus chaos, increasing with this, that, and the other thing that half the time it's like a media image of what's going on. Because if we really are in our bodies, we're like, wait a minute, I'm sitting here, I'm safe right now. That's actually not happening to me. So what really is going on? Where is my truth? And Voltaire said, every person has to tend to their own garden. You've got to tend to your own healing. It's going to be a major part of the thing. Like your generation might not have quite as much the rocky levels of trauma that the older generation had. I'm not sure. But you're still going to be wanting to do that personal work, conflict resolution, compassionate communication. All that stuff's going to have to be in there. It's not just we're going to be nice, create a festival, and everybody living in harmony. Well, no, because everybody's still doing their work. That festival's going to bust up. That group's going to bust up, unless you do your work. And so that's why the Sophia Christos beings are also here to help you emotionally. They can be surrogate fathers, they can be surrogate mothers, they can be surrogate lovers. Okay? Magdalene can be a surrogate lover. Jesus can be a surrogate father. Mother Mary can be a surrogate mother. So if you've had parental problems, call on them because they will help you. And if you're having problems as a parent, call on them. They will help you. They all were children or raised children or whatever. They have intimately been here. It's not like the Pleiades. They're far off. Half the time what they're saying doesn't go with what you need to do on the earth, the brass tacks, all right? The Holy Family is like brass tacks. They've been here, so they could be down to your finest tack. And that's the tack you want to talk to and pray to Mother Mary about or Jesus about or whatever, their essential beingness as connected directly to source. And let them be your personal healing guide, conduit, to your ascension. They're here as mentors. And that's what my book, The Secret Life of Mother Mary, is about. Mother Mary's mentor, like lifting at least a few veils off of her on who she really is. I think there's still some more that could come off and that will. But this is a major unveiling of a female possibility figure for either women who want that mentoring or men who want the mothering or the whatever it is, We've had Jesus for a while, but then he got misused and the whole mix of it. So you kind of need to get back to, okay, well, what is the pure essence of Jesus? And that in and of itself is like your road to initiation. So this is like such a mortal inside job, how to work with these beings on so many different levels. But the healing is really, really important. And to know that Mother Mary was a healer, is a healer, was a mother, was a stepmother. She's had so many of these experiences, is what I'm even getting to a larger degree now than I even saw in my book. Mm-hmm. She had many experiences over lifetimes. Mary Magdalene, similarly. Jesus, it was his first rock and roll show. So they actually knew more about the earth plane than he did. He's coming in, hey. And there's a gospel that showed, one of the gospels of his childhood that showed that he was like a little hellion. They had to curb him of some bad habits. All right. He comes onto the planet as like master king of the world, and he's killing his friends because he's like, he gets mad and his powers. It's like in Star Trek. Okay. So there is a gospel about that has been available but veiled, showing how even Jesus had to come into learning and master his skills and not be obnoxious, not kill other people because of the power that he came in with.
So what inspired your journey into the exploration of this topic?
It's been many lifetimes journey for me. In this particular life journey, I chose a lifetime of a lot of abandonment and, that kind of thing. And so that was part of my karmic healing. It's been a lifetime of healing all of that stuff and then realizing, wow, I had actually called it in because of karma. The times when, I separated children from their mothers, other lifetimes, right? So it's like, it's been a road to kind of realize that that's what's been going on for me. And that's probably what's going on for most people. And so what are the levels and layers at which we can heal so that we can start actually feeling better and better and then getting more and more creative? That's where we're going, climbing our way back to Eden.
Okay. So how, actually not how, I would love for you to share some of the key teachings or insights that you've gained that you feel everyone can benefit from right now.
Okay. Well, number one, we don't have to do it alone because we're not alone. We think that we're alone. And as kids, when the trauma starts happening, we feel so alone. But what we want to teach ourselves and our young people is you are not alone. There is help right on the other side of what feels like the veil to you. And you want to find ways to open your sight to be able to see those beings so that they can help you and you can all help the earth plane. Okay, so this is about we're not alone. We want to do what we can to awaken our consciousness so that we have sight into the deeper dimensions. We understand some of what they are. Who are these beings and masters who are there? How they can help us and how we are becoming them. We are returning to become them. All right. So basically, in the last minute or two, I just elucidated the apex of where I am with these teachings and what I have to share. Got to do the healing, and you are ascending.
So I feel like intuition is a great deal of this kind of work. But oftentimes when I hear conversations about what intuition is or how to harness it, it goes the complete wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering, what could you lend it to that discussion?
Yeah, about intuition, because that's the beginning of being able to see into the other realms. It is like your automatic navigation system that's built into the car is your intuition. Other stuff, we can continue to open ourselves more and more and more, but the baseline is intuition. So basically what everybody, what the whole negative agenda does is it tries to get kids separated from their intuition. That's an number one thing that starts going on from very early. Now, some children, are able to maintain it. Some children cut it off and then open it up later, whatever. But intuition is a navigation system that's built in of really knowing truth, and having a sense of what is so, what really is, what it really is about to happen, what's the best tack, that kind of thing. All right, so I don't know if that helps your conversation.
Well, it could help a lot of people for sure. I wonder about this this concept that you've brought with the Sophia Christos beings. How would a person know when those beings are reaching out?
Okay, excellent question. Let's go. Let me just see what comes through, okay? Okay, how do we know when they're reaching out? When you have a sense that, there's so many ways, but let's just say some basics. A sense that someone else is in the room. A massive synchronicity that happens to you or coincidence. Something that takes place that gives you a chill or curls your hair or whatever. Anything that inspires great awe. Those are the ways in which these beings either are directly communicating with us or are putting us in states where we can communicate with them. All right. So you want to do things that inspire awe in order to draw this connection with these higher angelic beings to you. Okay, so that's one way. But it's like it's the synchronicities, the signs, the uncanny events that happen, sense that somebody's in a room, sense that you thought you saw someone, but wait a minute, when you looked, it was just a deer. Like these are all different ways in which they're trying to bleed through into this dimension to let their presence known, as well as just through your inner knowing, your sense of things, your dreams. Okay, they're trying to reach people through the inner sights. And in terms of young people who want to get into the realm of plant medicine or drugs, it's like, well, the recommendation really is to use it as an initiatory opportunity that will give you everything you're looking for with it, but you've got to be led into it so that you don't just get addicted, smashed to smithereens, blah, blah, blah. Okay, there's lots of ways you can use these medicines to open your consciousness and to get the healing you're seeking, but everybody could use some mentorship in this regard.
I feel like the plant medicine thing is being way overdone for a nefarious agenda these days. I keep stressing this point that I do work with people a lot that in their thinking, they're quite infantilized, quite afraid, quite deceived, and quite frankly, uninformed about themselves, the world at large, spirituality, what that really means. And that's because there's been an agenda to hijack all of this stuff. And so they're looking to plant medicine for all the reasons that the people that don't want you to become spiritually rich put out there. And so it becomes kind of like an addiction where sometimes people come to me and they're like, oh, I just ran off to Ecuador to this plant ceremony. And it's like, how many times have you done that for the year? How have you actually progressed?
That's right.
And they haven't actually progressed at all. And they're like, I saw this thing doing this ayahuasca ceremony. And I'm like, yeah, but how did that change you as a person?
I know.
I don't know.
Yeah. This is a really critical voice that you're putting out there at this time. Mm-hmm. Just to amp up the discernment factor. That's what has to happen around this whole thing. Because what you're saying is an exact visual description of the way these entities work to take anything and flip it and make it work for them, and then take however the light responds to that and flip it back and make it work for them. They'll flip it. They'll be like, oh, look at all the light workers are going over there. How can we flip it? And then they'll do these things that some of it is not even, humans are not even involved in this process. It's on the other realms they're manipulating. These negative aliens are manipulating, okay, what people can see or where they're going to go or, blah, blah, blah. It's gotten a little intense. That's why you need your mentors so that you can navigate through both the real and the artificial matrices that are being put up. Okay. And you will be further initiated if you go into an artificial matrix and you kind of have I don't know what happens to you as a result. You're going to have to get yourself out of that. That's your initiation. It's like a maze. You've got to find your way out. And so anything that's good in this world, they're going to try to get and hijack, get and twist and turn and twist and turn and hijack and hijack. So that doesn't mean you throw the whole thing away. It just means, again, you've got to amp up your maturity, amp up your Sophia wisdom, amp up working with mentors, amp up that I'm going to use this medicine to go through an initiation to empower me. And so that then I can bring others through this medicine. Okay. with maturity, so they won't have the same pitfalls and this and that. We can all kind of start getting onto this higher vibe level. That's what the plants are ultimately about. It's what the Sophia Christos mission is about. They all were using plant medicine in the ancient world. You know, a lot of them. So it's about respectful use of the plants, knowledgeable use, returning our knowledge. And the Marys are very, very connected with the plant world. You know, I write about that in the last chapter of The Secret Life of Mother Mary. Mm-hmm. They're not just wee-wah, wafty, you know, diaphanous female beings. They're deeply connected in with the earth, the elementals, this and that. Like, these beings, these Marys, are pretty impressive.
So,
and that's the power that we're opening to again, is that sacred feminine power.
So how can a person cultivate their relationship with these beings?
You know, through, when starting backward from what we just said, I mean, obviously, well, let's just start with the simplest way. Saying, I would like to communicate with you. Please make yourself known to me in a way that is in alignment with my greatest good. Okay? You can ask that. Just put that prayer out to the universe, put it out daily, and indicate that you are looking to connect with your allied beings that are truly of true love, light, and wisdom. That's what you are wanting to connect with. So put out, you know, that you're of the love, light, wisdom brigade, and those are the guides you're looking for. There may be guides who are already there. You know, you can check through your meditations, through your intuitions. Do you have a guide that you feel like is already there? And it could be, you know, Jesus, all right? He could be a guide, Mother Mary, whatever. Okay. And then they're, you know, asking for dreams, for signs, for synchronicities, just to know that they're there. And you can ask all the way up to, please show yourself to me. I mean, I haven't even really fully worked up to that one yet, but because a lot of people have experiences, you know, lying in bed at night or whatever, lying in bed in the morning, and it's like, Mother Mary was at the foot of my bed. I mean, I've had like 10 people tell me this, right? And they didn't even ask for it. That was grace. Right? You can also ask that grace be given to you, that the grace of the amazingness that can happen to your life will happen to your life. Right? So, I mean, those are just some ways to think about working with the beings. And of course, when you're working in medicines, setting sacred space and calling them in at the beginning of the ceremony and really working with them. Right? Through whatever medicines that you are called to expand into, and each one has its benefit. But again, I encourage you to have your teacher, your trusted teacher or teachers to do this work at the wisest level. Okay? The level that's going to teach you, but not like make you get into crap you don't need to like get into. All right. So those are some of the basics of what I would say about that question. Does that make sense?
It does make sense to me. And I hope that it would make sense to the listeners. I'm glad that this interview has gone the direction that it's gone to, because it's a really nice introduction to Marguerite as a person, to what, you know, you're here to do, what you are attempting to teach people, without getting too far into the insights that are in your books, because I know there's a lot that we can talk about with the divine feminine and things like that. But I feel like that's a whole episode all on its own once you get into that. And I will reach out to your publicist.
All right.
And we can do that. But I mean, you mentioned contact from these beings in dream time. And
Mm-hmm.
I would love for you to elaborate on what are some of the common signs or symbols or events, or
Mm-hmm.
even because, dream time is such a vast landscape. Sometimes you
Yeah.
go to scenes that you wouldn't even have access to if you went to a regression or something like that. In dream time, people miss that. So what
Right.
would we be looking for to know that that's what that is?
Well, in dream time, first of all, you can ask for your guide or guides or highest level guides and helpful ancestors, or one of them or whatever, to come to a dream, any given dream. So you can put that out there. Please come to me in my dreams. Please help me to remember this dream then. And, please communicate with me in this dream. Right. So because they can come in when asked. So you can ask them to come into your dreams. Right. And if you're having dreams that, like, a lot of people have amazing dreams, these dreams that are so massive, and it's like, always write those down, because those massive dreams are huge gifts of somebody trying to talk to you, right? Be it your higher self, be it your guides, or sometimes the negative forces too, might be in there. But so just watch for what are the dreams where you felt awe or, extreme emotions, those kinds of things. Many people just automatically, again, through grace, have had these masters come to them. Like, again, I have a lot of clients who say that Mother Mary came to them in a dream. And, so I think it's like these dreams, wherever you feel highly guided, transformed, inspired, maybe it is a direct communication, those are all signs that your goddess, God self, the master realm is communicating with you. And if you're having, repeated anxiety dreams, nightmares, things like that, that's showing that there are energies connected in your space that you want to be removing and clearing. Like, they're just showing me that now, because I still have predominantly anxiety dreams. And so they're showing me right now, ooh, girl, you better go get a clearing on your dream space. Okay? Because that's just one way that these beings come in and, right? So if you're having a lot of negative dreaming, you want to work with practitioners to clean up your dream space. And again, that might be connected to healing that you need to do in order for it really to happen. Okay? It might be connected to recognition of karma and reconciling around that, all those kinds of things. Did that answer the dream question?
Yeah, it was a good answer.
All right.
So, well, I have white doves. So I think that you might also notice these really big shells. I have plenty of them behind me.
Oh, yeah. Is that what they are? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just basically am a shell collector.
Oh, my.
Everywhere I go, I pretty much ask for some kind of magical sign whenever I'm out there. And I just keep getting tons of these.
Yeah.
All different shapes and sizes.
You know why?
Tell me why.
Where you were one of the lineages who emerged from the sea.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I believe it.
Yeah, you've had lives as mermen, mer people, and underwater aquatic civilizations and creatures and beings.
Mm-hmm.
So that love of shells is a little poking out remnant of numerous past lives and timelines that you could explore if you haven't already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody on this platform, I hope they've listened to my episodes with Jenna, but they should know Jenna, and they should know that we have a good friendship. Yeah. And so when we were uncovering the thing with the doves, we realized that we had a much deeper past life connection to do with Greece. And, her revelations on that came through your book.
Yeah.
And the doves tie into all of that. So it turns out that that was almost like a synchronicity for both of us. And they both came at a very special time. It turned out to be 4 of them, fell out of a tree one after the next. Like I told you, that doesn't really happen. No. And, it's funny because I come out one day and I see this white dove in the bush and I'm like, what is that? What's that white thing in the bush? So I go and I'm like, it's a bird. I pick it up and the bird just climbs onto my finger and sits there like he's been waiting for me. Like, okay, well, that's an interesting experience. And then I come out another morning, like 8:30, and there's one sitting on my porch and he's under like a plastic bag or something. And I'm like, what is that? And it's another one. And he's like, you're the guy, right? Like, I guess I must be the guy. So that's how I kept ending up with more and more of these birds.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got information for you about it. Do you want to hear it?
Of course.
That's a really strong beam down from your Pleiadian brothers and sisters who are known in the ancient Greek tradition as doves. So that's a hello from the Pleiades. Simple.
That's interesting. That fills in some gaps for anybody that's listened to my episode with Jenna called "What's Dove Got to Do with It?" Kind of, kind of like "What's Love Got to Do with It?"
Yeah. So, you are, and you were in one of your lives in Greece. You were a sacred dove keeper. You tended the doves. Of course, the doves had to be tended, because they would be in the temples and things like that. So. But the Pleiades would like to talk to you. And, it's known, and I've taught a lot that the Pleiades were called doves. The 7 sisters of the Pleiades, the 7 mothers of the world, were called doves in antiquity. Pleiades. And so that's how we kept the memory of our 7 world mothers. And many cultures have that memory that the Pleiades are the 7 world mothers. The Greeks preserved the memory that they're connected with the doves. A dove is a Pleiad is a dove. Okay. Because essentially on the other plane, they're this white light being, winged kind of thing, right? They're kind of like angelics, these Pleiades. So that you asked earlier, how do you know when you're being communicated with? Hello, could we beat you over the head with the dove or what? Before you get it, it took 4 doves and one of them had to sacrifice their lives just for you to get this message today with Marguerite. Okay, so you can, it's just another timeline, portal, community that you could be exploring if you haven't been already. I'd be surprised if you hadn't been already. And you can start communicating with the sea people, the sea creatures, the sea beings, the mer people, all that kind of thing. Those are just 2 lines from which you could draw power by calling them in, by bringing them into your conscious awareness, by helping you to remember your lives in the sea and your lives in the stars. Okay, helping you to remember. And then you like, okay, I've popped up into higher consciousness while walking on planet Earth. Now I can bring new Earth to the Earth because my consciousness has opened. And we're in a helpful time where our consciousness can open. So just the way the vibrations are going. So I'd recommend talking to the Pleiades. I mean, and we could go into, so they're connected with Mother Mary, right? Mother Mary is seen as a dove. All the goddesses were seen as doves. So it's a sacred feminine womb, earth, humanity birthing motif.
Interesting. Yeah, it makes sense. A lot of my healing work lately has just been working with animals. of
Yes.
all different kinds. And I think I went through that whole spectrum of the stereotypical self-reflective stuff. And then when I hit a wall, that was when the animal stuff started happening. Like when I say hit a wall, I mean when that was all that other stuff was completed. And
Great.
almost like my personality and my spiritual essence had been molded into a particular characteristic. There was a sense of completion, and then there was like a pause in my life where there was like nothing happening, and then all of a sudden animal after animal after animal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's so much healing that needs to happen between humans and animals, and a lot of animals are healing humans right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They're helping them get through their trauma and through interminably lonely lives and, all that kind of thing. So animals are really helping humans. To some degree, humans are helping some animals, but humans are doing a lot of damage to other animals. So when people start having animals as pets come into their life, it can start opening consciousness about the animal kingdom, right? So in general, and opening people to be compassionate. So there's a lot of cross-species communication happening. And so, of course, you were going to happen upon that road and be working or playing with these creatures on some level for your own healing, and then for whatever other insights you're receiving and for whatever they're getting out of it.
Okay. So I think we're down to the hour now, and I would like to ask you a little secret question.
Yeah.
What goes on in those monthly Mary Magdalene empowerment circles?
That's such a good way of asking. Well, we have a seance. No. No, everybody comes online. I'm kind of in my oracle state. We have a theme that the Marys are going to take us through or with, or, toward, that's about healing or empowerment, a different one each month. Like next one, as it happens in February, is connecting with our star allies. The Marys help us connect with our star allies, for example. Okay. But there's other, different types of things. So I take everybody through, essentially a channel journey. And then that sort of leads people into having some of their own experiences, getting some of their own guidance, writing it down, and then a little bit of chat sharing and so forth. And in and around that, and some of those questions are like questions for the oracle. I'll be giving either bigger oracle questions or maybe spot coaching connected to that particular person. So it's just a really wonderful oasis. And again, a way to connect with, open your connection more to two of these beings, Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene, once a month.
Okay, that's great. So where can we find you?
Yeah, go to sevensistersmysteryschool.com. The 7 is written out SEVEN. And there's a wealth of material there, free, on-demand courses, things that are coming up, other resources for you, meditations, all that kind of thing. And also when you come to my website, there's a little pop-up that will allow you to sign up for free for all the meditations that go along with each of the chapters in my book, The Secret Life of Mother Mary. So that's like a really good way to get back into the Mary vibe and be in communication with her in particular, for example. And Magdalene comes in there too. So yeah, and then I have a YouTube channel, Marguerite Rigoglioso, and those are the main ways people can find out about me. I'm a bit on Instagram and a bit on Facebook. Probably I should be there more, but whatever.
Okay. Well, thanks for being on the Boundless Authenticity podcast.
Jehan, it's been great. I really appreciate this conversation. Thank you. It's kind of unique, I think.
Mm-hmm. That's what I do.
You're listening to the Boundless Authenticity podcast, where we discuss everything related to the evolution of human consciousness.
At the very least, people need to understand that the United States builds bunkers, which are basically cities underground, every 3 months.
Basically, when you dream, you tap into your subconscious. It is your nocturnal intuition, your creativity and imagination unchained from conscious reason, ego and logic.
They're biologically alive, but they have no soul. They have AI consciousness. They can alter your conscious of the brain to get the brain.
We live in a multidimensional reality, whether it comes through esoteric information in the spiritual realms or the UFO people, experiencers, or mainstream through quantum physics and through mainstream science now realizing that parallel dimensions probably exist.
We're all spiritual beings. We're all having these human experiences. We've heard that phrase over and over and over. But what does that really mean?
You know, all the big questions of life, we have these answers inside of our souls.
We're ultimately studying the nature of what it is to be human, good and evil, our psychology, how we think, and our health. That's why I love Bruce Lee's great quote, all knowledge is ultimately self-knowledge.